There's an interesting thing that I've noticed. I don't feel like an imposter if I don't walk into uncertainty. When I'm surrounded by stability, fun, and friends, I don't feel like a fraud that will be discovered at any moment. The feeling of being an imposter is contradictory by nature. And if you notice that if something is contradictory, you can get rid of it. You feel like an imposter if you decide to label yourself something you are not. By today's standards, we have to find things that make us money and make life enjoyable. If you don't, what are you doing with your life? A lot of people prioritize the goal over the destination. This might be as well. You forget about the importance of consistency and long-term goals. Filled with impatience, you want that thing now. You want to become the best of the best in a matter of days. There's a huge support for abolishing the beginner mindset and putting the hat of an expert in the shortest time possible. What does it do to you? Self-doubt. Imposter syndrome is most prevalent in creative endeavors, where you can't measure how well you perform. With school or work, it's easier. Just hit the milestones. But when it comes to your self-image, things become complicated. First of all, what causes the imposter syndrome to sprout in the first place? You, as human, are driven by competition and a sense of belonging in a tribe. Thanks to the power of the internet, you are constantly bombarded by images of those who are better than you. What does it cause? Again, self-doubt. When you see something in front of you that you want to achieve, you get a boost to go out and do that thing. But the amount of competition is endless to your brain. It reinforces the belief, why bother? Someone is always better than you. It makes your drive wither down, your goals fade away, you stagnate. But worst of all, your brain becomes your worst enemy. Without a clear picture, without a full context, your brain assumes the worst. This affects you mentally. This feeling rises along with the uncertainty. Can I make it? Will this work? I'm scared of the unknown. But uncertainty is the only way for growth. Your mind craves stability and comfort. Certainty feels good, but you stagnate when you become complacent. Have you ever paid attention to the thoughts in your head? You are never good enough. You are worthless. Your goals are as meaningless as you are. Sounds familiar? And you are always learning, even if you have the capability to label yourself as an expert in a particular skill. This shouldn't stop you from discovering new things. It's not right to abolish your beginner mentality, as it puts unnecessary pressure on yourself to perform at expert capabilities. More on that later. In life, there's always something to discover. Awareness begets awareness. When you set out on the trip for the first time, it's unwise to come unprepared, so use a map for navigation. You use a scheduled route that, while not the most efficient, is accessible and will get the job done. If you are attentive, you might notice that there is a potential shortcut that can save you a big chunk of time, but you aren't certain it will work for you, as you stand at the edge of uncertainty. Will you stick to what's comfortable and known, or will you risk it for a big reward? Self-doubt is the true enemy of any creator, of any person even. Imposter syndrome only becomes a bad thing if it's mixed with self-doubt. It's a sign that you are facing uncertainty and stepping outside of your comfort zone. That's exactly what you want for improvement and growth. Mixed with self-doubt, however, it freezes us in place, questioning every step, filled with indecisiveness and blind to the light at the end of the tunnel. But what if you had self-respect instead? What if you believed in yourself? This is the light at the end of the tunnel. Self-respect is when you are aligned with yourself and your opinion. You know that no outside opinion holds value above you and your stance in life. You recognize that no one's better than you, and you are not better than anyone else. Same as being a beginner, curious and open-minded about the topic you study, or the hobby you immerse yourself in. While I did mention that imposter syndrome is not as bad as it appears, you still need to persevere when times get hard. There are 5 tricks that I have been practicing myself to deal with imposter syndrome. Do the thing anyway. I noticed that the way to cope with imposter syndrome is to do the stupid thing anyway. Your mind stops you from doing something uncomfortable because it craves safety. It likes stability. Stability is good, but stability doesn't let you grow. So what do you do instead? Take the first step. Embrace the discomfort. You only grow once you step outside your edge of comfort. It sounds cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. You can apply this anytime you feel a tug of resistance in your brain. Acknowledge it and do the thing anyway. I feel like a fraud almost every time I hit the publish button. But I do it anyway. Especially when I don't feel like it. Believe in yourself. Self-doubt arises from the lack of belief in yourself. Imposter syndrome forms when you place your sense of validation through other people. This might sound pseudoscience-y, but it's one of those things that help me no longer be a slave to those thoughts. It's believing in myself. It's being my own hype man. Doing that allowed me to become aware of the intrusive thoughts that lived rent-free in my head. Once I became aware, I realized that the thoughts in my head are just that, thoughts. And I started questioning those thoughts. But I cannot stress enough the importance of having no judgment towards your thoughts. Observe and question them with compassion and curiosity. These thoughts are you. Don't address them with prejudice or hatred, as that will only form a never-ending cycle that can only be stopped with compassion towards yourself. Reinforce and ask. The malformed thoughts form from the lack of information. You think that everyone will label you as a fraud at any moment, but it's simple to fix. Not easy, but simple. It happens because you don't ask how are you doing. Take the time and ask your peers or your coworkers how are you doing. Let them measure your progress. Chances are, your imaginary estimates will be destroyed at the moment's notice. And trust me, it's not a weird thing to do. Don't take their compliments for granted. Don't take their feedback for granted either. If it happens, a fresh set of eyes can highlight the real issues you need to fix. Be grateful. Before this, when I was facing all of my mental issues, I wasn't paying attention to what thoughts I had in my head. I was extremely ungrateful, not only in art, but in life in general. I was bold enough to assume that I was entitled to get paid for my art. I want you to start being grateful for the things you have in your life. Take 5 to 10 minutes each morning and list 4 to 5 things that you are grateful for. Think really hard and try to especially paint something that appears negative at first in a positive light. Unplug. As I've mentioned before, your brain is bombarded with countless successes and six-packs. It's crucial to unplug from the online world. Don't put out the fire with fire. Use water instead. Put your phone away. Close the social media tabs and relax. And do these things instead. Journal. Meditate. Go for a walk. And spend time with friends. Ultimately, self-respect and alignment with your own values are the key to overcoming imposter syndrome. Don't run away from it. Feeling like a fraud is a sign that you are one step away from great growth. While uncertainty is necessary for goals, it can only lead to mental stagnation if not dealt with properly. It's important to acknowledge that you are always a beginner and that there is always something to learn. Think why you are feeling like a fraud. Face the underlying problem and take care of your self-doubt. And when the times come for you to feel like a fraud, embrace it. Take a deep breath and do what you wanted to do anyway. With that said, I'd love to hear from you. How you dealt with the imposter syndrome? Are there any tips that I haven't mentioned that you would like to share? Pick up your pen and start drawing. Bye!